Hello everybody. Okay, hello. So I had to do a baby blanket. I have a few baby blankets to do, but this is the one that I'm doing, so I figured what a great time to go ahead and do another tutorial for you guys since we lost the last video. So I figure I'm going to go ahead and do this really quickly, try to shorten it up a little for you. So you're probably going to see me, not really see me. I'm going to be standing most of the time doing this, but so here we go. We're going to start our baby blanket tutorial. Let me get to my video camera a little bit better. There you go. Okay, so what we're starting is with what I'm going to be doing, and this is really the same thing across the board with some of your fleece blankets. This is like a micro velour blanket. The top is. I also get the white minky blankets, micro minky velour blankets. Those are the same. These are all going to be the same, done the same exact way, okay? So this is 30 by 40. I do cover my table. I'm just using like a pop-up 8-foot plastic table, like one of those outdoor kind of picnic tables that I'm using to press on. You could press on anything as long as you've got the surface for it. So I do protect my table with a ironing mat, and this ironing mat is just on Amazon, and I got it, I think it's called the Whitmore, W-I-T-M-O-R, ironing mat, and it's just like for a handheld mat, but what it does is it protects your surface, so I use that. I am going to be using, for all of my baby blankets, I use the Cricut EZ Press. And the Cricut EZ Press that I use is the newer version. It goes up to 400 degrees. So I know they had one in the very beginning, and it wasn't as, it didn't get to a high as temp as this one does. So first what I do is I just lay out my blanket and I kind of smooth the nap of the blanket in the direction that it should be going, because there really is a different direction. If you can see, like this comes against the grain. I don't know if you're able to see that. So you kind of just want to get it all smoothed out. Don't worry about the wrinkles, they kind of come out. Unless it's really, really bad, you can iron it, but I don't worry about it. So I am using the Cricut EZ Press, and this is the 12 by 10 size. Now when you do these baby blankets, I am going to suggest that you get everything prepped for your area, because once you get running with these, you really want to just go. Okay? I got all of my prints done. These are about 8.5, and this is the baby blanket that I'm going to do today. One of the customers here, she ordered it, so you're going to get to see that your granddaughter's baby blanket's coming to life. So these are about 8.5. You can, I don't really go any bigger than an 8.5 size for my baby blankets. And then I do have my pattern already drawn out, okay? This is what I use, and I keep this handy to refer to because it keeps me on track on how I want my pattern to be laid out. I don't put them all in rows. They kind of move a little because I want movement of my blanket. I don't want it to seem like it's just in rows. And then I do have all of my sheets, my butcher sheets paper. I got them cut and ready to go as well. So, and I forgot my tape. I use heat tape for to tape these down. I am a heat tape fan. I do not like the pro sprays or the repositionable sprays or craft sprays out there. I just don't like it. It's not my go-to. I don't know if it's me or whatever, but I don't feel that they work too well. So what I do is I just go ahead and take all of my blocks and I kind of just lay them out a little, just to make sure that they all fit correctly. But if you do an 8 by an 8.5 size, that's good. And then what I do is I start my middle row. I'm an eyeballer, so I start my middle row first. I like to get my center column done, okay? And then once that's done, I just pick it up. And then I am ready to start. So I just do a couple pieces of tape on here, and you're going to see how fast this kind of comes to life. Get this a little little bit further up on my heat pad. And then I'm basically just going to stick this on here, lay it there, and I'm gonna start my time and temp. And what I do these on is I do these for 400 degrees, about 45 to 60 seconds. So it just depends. Sometimes the Easy Presses, you know, just like with any heat press, the heat fluctuates. This one stays pretty good. So even if you wanted to do, I wouldn't do a minimum. My minimum would be 45 seconds. I usually do around 60. So we're going to let that go for 60 seconds. And I don't put any pressure or anything on it. I feel that this right here is giving it enough pressure itself. And these really do, the blankets really do come together really quickly. And the Cricut EZ Press, you can hear it gives you a little beep, lets you know it's done. Okay, not sure if you could see that, but there we go. We've got one square done. And now I'm going to be referring to this again to see which way my block will go. And it says that it's going to go this way. And I give maybe an inch in between. Sometimes I got to go back and just look to make sure I'm giving it enough space. And that's about right. So about an inch in between. And I'm just going to heat tape it again. Hear my dog in the background. Oh, there's my dog. That's my dog, Nico. He's a golden retriever. We just had him shaved down, getting ready for summer. Yes, I shaved my dog. There he is. He's such a goober. But, hi, buddy. All right, go lay down. Come on. So we're just doing this again. We started it again for 60 seconds. Gonna just let it sit, let it do its work. And when you do your images, your prints, I know these look right side to you, but they actually are mirror imaged. Make sure that you do that. You want them to be mirror imaged. And I did have some people ask me about the little squares that come out with this, kind of like the press lines. I will tell you, I've done a lot of baby blankets. First washing, it seems to go, but if you're really, really particular about it, you can take a lint roller all over it after your sublimation has cooled down, because while it's warm, it's still kind of like working, processing, I should say. So once it's calmed down and your colors, don't rub it while the colors are setting, because you can smear the inks a little because they're still processing when they're warm. So I let them just cool down a little, and once it's all cool, I'll either shake my blanket out or I will go ahead and lint roll it all over, and that seems to bring that nap back up. And I will tell you, I've washed these baby blankets several times, and I'm going to show you one that I've done recently. Well, not really recently. And I'll show you, that way I can show you how it turns out. Seems like when they get washed, they tend to, it helps. So let me grab his baby blanket. Okay, so this is my granddaughter's blanket that I did. I think I did a live with this one, my first live. And I don't know if you can see, but there is no press lines on this, and this has been washed. So if you feel like, you know, you really want to just go ahead and give it to the new mom, but you don't like it, if you want to wash it first, yeah, I see nothing wrong with that. You know, just, I usually either hang dry these, or I, like I just like tumble low on these. But as you can see, this is how I do my corners, and I'm going to show you that when we come to that. Okay, but no, there's no press line on these, okay? And even if you don't wash it and it sits out for a minute, it fluffs up. And when you're pulling away your block, make sure you pull it straight up, don't shift it. Okay, last one in this row. And again, I'm referring to which way the block is turning, because that is important. So always refer to your diagram. That one. Okay. But these really are very quick, very easy. I love the EZ Press for these. So if you are looking for an easy way to do these, sorry, I'm a mess, but it's just one of those Mondays. My print heads were clogged for about 4 hours. I worked on those today. So, had ink all over my hands. I literally like kind of almost tore this machine apart. It just wasn't. Usually I can fix it really quickly. Today was not the day. So everybody's saying it's the full moon syndrome. So yeah. So I'm getting a late start to my Monday. So here we go with our first row. First row is done. Okay, so then what I do is I move on to either my left or my right side. So I'm just going to move over this side. I'm going to go over here, making sure the nap is good again. Okay, and then when you're doing this, be careful, make sure that your wrinkles are kind of out where you're working at. Okay. Down, because wrinkles can be a havoc when you are, they could ruin your blanket. So just kind of make sure that the wrinkles out are slightly, just so that you don't have like a crease in there when you put your EZ Press on it. And another question is, people say, does it affect like going over this print because it's overlapping a little in this side? Is it taking away any of that? No, I've not had any issues with that. Now I'm sure if you would just press, it would, but I haven't really seen any discoloration by doing that. So I'm really, really just happy with how these blankets turn out. And I know that you will too. This will be something great. And like I always say, people always say, how do I find my niche? What do I do? I don't know where to find. Start with some baby items. Babies never go out of style. And let me tell you, everybody buys for babies. There's baby showers. There's birthdays. There is holidays. Grandparents. There's a big wide market. And, you know, babies are being born every day. So that's always a good place to start if you're looking for something to start with. Market some baby items. Everybody loves to buy for babies. I sell a ton of baby items. Finished, non-finished, you know. So don't be afraid to start with some baby items. Pillows are great. You know, try some pillows. There is just a ton of things you can do for babies. Photos. These baby blankets really, really sell well. People ask me how much do I charge for them. I will not charge less than $50 for my blankets. The only way I'll do that is I will give a deal. If you want to do this, like a package deal, I will offer somebody, I will do a baby blanket with a matching pillow cover for $65. And I will do that. It's kind of like a little bit of an upcharge for offering 2 items. But I will do that. But if I'm just doing a baby blanket alone, I will not charge less than $50. And I have charged depending on the design or what I've had to work with. It depends. So for the burst stats, I usually keep them around 50, 55. But if I'm doing something that's a little bit more intricate and stuff, I will go up to 65 for them. Okay, here we are, moving along. Still referring to my diagram as I go, okay? Because you could quickly become a mess with where you're at and where your blocks go if you don't have that mapped out for yourself. So make sure you get that mapped out for yourself prior to. And like I said, you definitely want to have everything ready to go, because once you start making these baby blankets, you really just want to do a run with them, because you'll see they go quickly. Each block takes a minute. So, you know, you've got at least 12 minutes into the blanket, because this becomes 12 squares, 4 and then 3 across. So you've got at least 12 minutes into your blanket. You know, changing out and stuff. So I'm going to say you could probably do these blankets within 20 minutes easily. But make sure that your area is prepped and ready. I have a little side table over here that I have my tape on, my little diagram on, my pre-cut. And I do cut these down. They're ready to go. These are all ready. So my Cricut set's over there. I have my butcher paper over here. And then my table's ready to go. So make sure you're ready for that when it's time to start your blanket. And then that way it's just, and if you have a couple, set aside a day, and if you can, and do 2 or 3 if you need 2 or 3 done, because they can be really fast, really quick. I don't know about you or where you're at, but today is a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania. We are actually at about 60 some degrees today. Sunny, beautiful. Okay, so let me show you. Here is one thing that when you come to the corner, and I'll show you like on this blanket here. When I came to the corner of the blanket, see how this kind of ran out? It ended up that this right here ran out. And what I'm going to say is, I didn't want this to show up on your binding, because if this was a professionally made blanket, not that yours isn't professional, but if it was a professional fabric, the binding of this comes on last. So this fabric right here would have already been printed. And then they would have bound your blanket or your quilt or whatever it is that you have. So we want it to look just like that. Like if you made this first, then you sewed the binding or the edge onto your blanket. So we want to make it look as if this would run under here. So what I do is, right at this binding, I simply just score this with my fingernail. Very easy to do. If you don't have a fingernail, get a credit card or something there. Just score it back, and then you're going to tuck it back. It's going to be tucked back. Okay, see how I'm tucking this? I dog-eared this, and I'm tucking it so it does not get into the binding. So it's going to look like it's underneath it. Okay, and then I just tape that down so it does not get on my binding. And that's how I handle the corners. Because I want it to make it look like I did this part, the fabric, and then I added the edging. So that's how you handle the corners. And I usually get them, 9 times out of 10, I get them in most of my corners, as you can see. So, you know, that is how, that's how it is. And if this was a professional blanket, that's how they would be, okay? Your material, your design would go underneath your binding. So make it look like that's the way this is. And it doesn't take away, it doesn't distract anything, it doesn't look bad. It looks like that you had made the fabric first and then you bound your quilt or your blanket. It looks more professional that way than it going up over the edge of your blanket or your binding. You don't want that. Now I'm going to show you how this ends up turning out. And it looks like I was tucked up underneath there. Okay? And that's what you want. Okay, last row. Last row. Okay, again, same process. Let's get the nap of the fabric all smoothed out. Now this one here is not going underneath. So this side is a little bit more forgiving. But not to say that once I get up to the top it's not. It just really depends on the way the direction sometimes your design's going. I don't know how your Monday's going, but mine's crazy. So this morning I dealt with the print heads. Well, it went this morning clear into this afternoon. It was a disaster. At first I wasn't printing my cayenne color. Finally got that unclogged after cleaning the print heads numerous times. And then I had to go in and draw out ink, and that really wasn't working, even though I almost drew the tank empty. I went back in, I alcohol swabbed it and cleaned it that way. Finally got it to unclog, and then my magenta wouldn't print. So I had to go through a whole thing of, I worked probably for a half hour on my magenta. And then finally, I've even did the whole shut off thing. I mean, I went through every process I've done before to unclog this. I do not know what happened, but somewhere along the line, it just was crazy. So then I finally got it unclogged, and now I'm off and running. So I hope to not have to go through that process again, because that was horrible. Again, working out my wrinkles, because I don't want that to be in there. Sometimes if you got a little bit of a deep wrinkle, you could pre-press it. I think that one's okay. But they say it's the full moon, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but man. So I got up this morning, and I go to put my contacts in, and I don't know, for any of you contact wearers that might do the that clean them weekly with the hydrogen peroxide solution that really deep cleans the enzymes off them. Well, I have that, and it's sitting beside my contact solution, and I wasn't paying attention. I grabbed the wrong bottle. And if you've ever rinsed off your contacts with hydrogen peroxide, oh my goodness, let me tell you, that you can't get your contact out fast enough. My eyes were, it literally like burned your eyes. Like, I can't even explain it. Unless you've done it, you have no idea. So it feels like you're putting acid in your eye. So I did that. I thought, and then this was just my morning. So then I thought, oh, well, okay, I got that out, so let's clean it off really good with the saline solution. I pick up the hydrogen peroxide again, and I cleaned it off with it, and both of my eyes are, my vision, they're both the same exact correction on both of them. So my contacts, they are the same in both eyes. So I decide I'm not going to put it in that eye again since it's still burning. I'm going to put it in the other eye. Yeah, well, I did that. Now I got both eyes burning because I put the hydrogen peroxide in both eyes. So that's my morning. And then I come down and my print heads are clogged and so I don't know if anybody's having that kind of morning. That's the kind of morning I've had so far. Well, I should say day. That's how my morning started. Almost finished, guys. We are almost there. Let me get this over here. So, okay, we are on the last 2 blocks. I was doing a blanket the other day, and I got to my very last block, and I was not paying attention. I was hurrying, and let me tell you, when you're doing these blankets, it's okay to take a breath, calm down, and really watch what you're doing. Well, I wasn't. I was in a hurry. I wanted to hurry up and get it done. I was running late for everything that day, so I get to the very last block. I'm not paying attention, and there was a big crease in it, and I put my last block down. The blanket was flawless. I put my last block down. I pulled it up, and I had a whole crease in there, and it ruined the whole blanket on my last block. So I'm just going to say, when you're doing these, take a breath, take your time. They go quickly anyways, so just watch what you're doing. Make sure your blocks are correct. Make sure your wrinkles are out. And really just watch what you're doing, you know, because you're going to be repeating this process a lot through here. So just, this was where I messed up the last time. I was on my last block. I had a deep crease, as I see this one does. So if that has, and sometimes you get a little weird, you can take your Easy Press. You can kind of press it out a little. Sometimes I find when I get to the corners, they kind of get a little bit wonky sometimes, if that's a word. Last one, guys. Okay, so last square. So when you're doing these, just take your time, be checking, double checking. It's like a carpenter. They always say, measure twice and cut once. So look at your fabric twice, make sure you check your design, the way it's moving, your square, check that, and then press, okay? So double check yourself and then press. It just makes life a whole lot easier, especially when you get to the very last square and you know you just spent all that time and all that ink and in a blanket, and then you were just in a hurry and you knew that you shouldn't have hurried, and then you give yourself that and you mess it up. So just take your time and you will get better as you go. And that's another thing I want to say is don't sell these blankets or anything. Please don't sell anything unless you've done it once or twice or 5 times. I think 5 or 10 times even better. Because just because someone can make it doesn't mean that you can make it. And there we are. All done. Let me see. There we are. Blanket is complete. And look how quick that was. It did not take long at all. So once these kind of cool down a little, the last 2 or 3 squares are a little bit warm, I'm gonna really flick this blanket and shake it, and it's gonna get away, it's going to take away a lot of those press lines. Okay, there you go. You can see that nicely now. Look how nice that is. Beautiful. This is going to a cute little girl, sweet little girl for her first birthday from her grandma. If you're watching, here is your granddaughter's blanket. All nice and done. And I did do a matching pillow cover. So Grandma also ordered the matching pillow cover. So there we are. So look how beautiful. So there you have it. I hope that helped you out. I know my last video was taken down. I did open up a YouTube channel, so I'm actually going to post that here in the group, as well as I'm going to give you a link to my YouTube channel. So from here on out, I'm going to start putting some videos over there. So I'm going to try to download some from the site, from the group page here, and then I'm going to also put them over there so that you can, we always have a video log of everything that you can refer to, okay? So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me, and then I'll try to help you out along the way. All right, everybody. Have a great day.